Now to more of our exclusive sit-down with Ozzy Osbourne. In our first hour, he revealed he is adjusting to life with a form of Parkinson's.
In the world of music history, few figures were as singular and as impossible to replicate as Ozzy Osbourne. Known globally as the Prince of Darkness, he was more than a frontman. He was a symbol of rebellion, a bridge between the mainstream and the underground, and a reminder that music doesn't need to be clean to be powerful. From his earliest days on stage, Ozzy defied structure and convention. He wasn't a trained vocalist. He didn't look like a traditional rock star, but he had something few others did: presence. When Ozzy walked onto a stage, he immediately commanded it, not through polish or technique, but through sheer, unpredictable energy. Every performance was volatile. Anything could happen, and often it did. In his heyday, he was often described as dangerous, not in the literal sense, but in the way true rock used to be. He didn't rehearse a personality for the crowd. What fans saw was exactly who he was. That's what made Ozzy magnetic. Audiences didn't show up to watch a show. They showed up to see Ozzy survive it. But for all the chaos and absurdity, the infamous bat incident, the onstage antics, the reality TV spectacle, what gets overlooked is his consistency as a performer.
These reports just started coming into our newsroom. I want to put up some video here as well for you, but we do ultimately know that the British rock star has died and he was, quote, surrounded by love. This is all according to his family.
Ozzy toured relentlessly. He worked through pain, injury, and declining health, often refusing to cancel shows unless absolutely necessary. He considered it his responsibility to deliver, not just entertain. Behind the eccentricity was discipline. Behind the wild stories was an artist who took music seriously. And even in his later years, when age and illness took their toll, Ozzy never allowed himself to become a caricature. He remained committed to his craft. When he could no longer run across the stage, he still sang with power. When his voice faltered, his soul didn't. He adapted, and fans adapted with him. He embraced being vulnerable. In interviews, he rarely filtered his emotions. He spoke openly about his struggles with addiction, depression, and the damage he caused during his darkest years. Unlike many public figures, Ozzy never tried to rewrite his past. He owned it. That honesty made him uniquely relatable, especially to people fighting their own battles. And that transparency extended into his personal life. While the image of Ozzy in the public imagination might involve pyrotechnics and leather, fans who met him off stage described someone warm, curious, and humble. Someone who never forgot where he came from. He was never too big to laugh at himself or admit when he didn't have the answers. In a culture obsessed with curated personalities,
the cause of death at this time is unclear, but the Osbourne family did release a statement to the British media saying that it is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning.
Ozzy remained unpolished, and that's what made him timeless. Great. Here's part 2 of the rewritten section in the same factual news-style tone, continuing directly from part 1. Ozzy Osbourne's cultural reach went far beyond the music industry. He became an enduring icon not only for heavy metal, but for counterculture as a whole. Someone who shattered conventions and redefined what a public figure could be. Across generations, across genres, and across borders, Ozzy meant something different to everyone. But one thing was constant: he meant something. That's evident now, more than ever. Since news of his passing broke, public tributes have emerged across nearly every platform. Candlelight vigils were held in his hometown of Birmingham, where fans gathered at the foot of a mural bearing his likeness, laying flowers, vinyls, and handwritten letters. In Los Angeles, fans formed crowds around his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, leaving black roses and crosses. Radio stations in Europe, South America, and North America all coordinated all-day Ozzy marathons within hours of the announcement. The streaming surge followed immediately. Within 12 hours, Spotify and Apple Music both reported that plays of Osbourne's solo and Black Sabbath discographies had jumped over 900%. On YouTube,
Ozzy's family continues to say that he was with his family and surrounded by love. We ask everyone to respect our family privacy at this time.
Archived concert footage and rare interviews rapidly climbed trending charts. Thank You Ozzy trended globally on X, formerly Twitter, with fans, fellow musicians, and industry leaders posting testimonials, memories, and tributes. Artists from across the musical spectrum, from hard rock and metal to hip-hop and pop, issued statements acknowledging his legacy. Metallica frontman James Hetfield called Ozzy a foundation on which we all built, while Post Malone, who collaborated with Ozzy in recent years, simply wrote, "The honor was mine. Rest easy, legend." Iron Maiden, Foo Fighters, Slash, Tom Morello, and members of Judas Priest each released formal tributes, echoing the same sentiment. Ozzy wasn't just part of rock history. He was a cornerstone. In the industry, the Osbourne estate has confirmed that a major tribute concert is in early stages of planning, reportedly aiming for a multi-artist event to be held at Wembley Stadium in London later this year. It would be a celebration of Ozzy's career, with participation from some of the most iconic names in rock and metal, many of whom launched their careers at Ozzfest, the annual touring festival Ozzy and Sharon launched in 1996.
So, of course, we know that Ozzy is most famous for heading up the group Black Sabbath that was founding iconic rock back in Birmingham, England, back in 1968. The band received numerous accolades over the years, including 2 Grammy Awards and a 2006.
Speaking of Sharon, her presence in the days ahead will be critical, not just as Ozzy's widow, but as the person most responsible for shaping his second act. Industry insiders report that she has already begun conversations about a formal legacy foundation in Ozzy's name, aimed at supporting mental health, addiction recovery, and music education. 3 causes Ozzy spoke openly about supporting in recent years. Sharon has not made any extensive public remarks beyond her initial statement, but close friends of the family describe her as grieving but focused. One insider said, "She's in pain, but she's already thinking about how to make sure Ozzy's legacy isn't reduced to headlines or myth. She wants the real story to endure." That real story may be revealed in a forthcoming memoir, which Sharon has reportedly been drafting for several years. Sources say the book will focus heavily on Ozzy's final decade, his health battles, his final tours, the studio sessions for Patient Number 9, and their shared hope that he would be able to take the stage one more time before stepping away for good. If completed, the memoir would offer a rare window into the private side of one of rock's most public couples. It may also be accompanied by a documentary, as various production companies have been working with the Osbournes on archival footage and interviews for the past several years. Meanwhile, fans are left reflecting on Ozzy's influence, not just as a performer, but as a movement. From Black Sabbath's groundbreaking 1970 debut through his explosive solo career, all the way to his final recordings, Ozzy left behind more than songs. He left a blueprint for how to survive, how to confront inner darkness without being consumed by it.
Induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Among some of their most famous songs are War Pigs, Iron Man, Paranoid, Children of the Grave, and Sweet Leaf. So Black Sabbath, though, did announce earlier this month
how to live authentically, even when the world doesn't know what to make of you. For many, he wasn't a hero in the traditional sense. He was more real than that. He made mistakes. He hurt people. He nearly destroyed himself on more than one occasion. But he always came back, remorseful, honest, and ready to try again. In a world full of sanitized success stories, Ozzy was proof that imperfection didn't disqualify greatness. As the metal world processes this loss, many are asking, what does the genre look like without Ozzy? The answer isn't simple. Heavy metal is not a single person, it's a movement. But Ozzy was, in many ways, its most visible and resilient standard-bearer, and his absence leaves a void that won't be filled anytime soon. Bands that emerged during his heyday and after, Ghost, Avenged Sevenfold, Slipknot, Bring Me the Horizon, Turnstile, all acknowledge him as a key influence. The sounds may evolve, the faces may change, but Ozzy's blueprint remains. The enduring truth is this: Ozzy didn't just help build the house of metal, he gave it its spirit, and now, the next generation inherits that spirit, with all the weight, noise, and power that comes with it. In the days following his death, Ozzy Osbourne's legacy has already begun transitioning from cultural presence to historical icon. According to official representatives, a public memorial is being developed with involvement from the city of Birmingham and the Osbourne family. While no firm date has been set, early reports suggest the event will include both a tribute concert and an official dedication ceremony.
That the original band members would be touring again this year, and it's unclear at this time how they're going to be navigating this shocking news of the death. So we do know that Hard Rock Loyalty and others, wherein some 40,000 fans did gather earlier this month.
Possibly a street or square named in Ozzy's honor. Local officials have expressed strong support, calling Ozzy the most impactful musical figure Birmingham has ever produced. At the national level, the UK's Department for Culture Media and Sport issued a statement recognizing Ozzy Osbourne's contributions to British music, citing him as a singular artist who elevated British rock to international dominance, and whose artistic legacy will continue to influence for generations. BBC and ITV have both announced upcoming specials covering Ozzy's life and career, while the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland is organizing a retrospective exhibit. Meanwhile, discussions are underway regarding a global multi-artist tribute broadcast, possibly coordinated by Live Nation or another major production firm, which would involve simultaneous performances from Los Angeles, London, and Sao Paulo. While still in early talks, the concept has received interest from artists across genres, including some not traditionally associated with metal, showing how far Ozzy's reach extended. In the music business, several record labels are now preparing for a spike in demand for reissues of both Ozzy's solo work and early Black Sabbath material. Rhino Records and Sony Music are reportedly planning deluxe anniversary editions of landmark albums like Blizzard of Oz and Master of Reality, including unreleased demos, interviews, and handwritten lyrics from Ozzy's personal archives. Beyond the music, there is a growing movement among fans to petition for a posthumous knighthood, something Ozzy had long been considered for, though never officially granted during his lifetime. As of now, a petition titled Knight Ozzy Osbourne in Memory has amassed over 500,000 signatures in just 48 hours. The industry response has been clear. Ozzy Osbourne didn't just leave a mark, he carved out his own lane entirely. For historians and critics, Ozzy's life presents a rare combination of cultural disruption and sustained success. He co-founded one of the most influential bands in history, pioneered a genre, reinvented himself multiple times, and adapted to every decade from the 1970s through the 2020s. He was a frontman, a solo artist, a television personality, a business figure, and a survivor of circumstances that would have ended most. Unlike many public figures, his relevance was not bound by trend. He was not a product of marketing cycles or viral campaigns. His popularity wasn't temporary, it was generational. When new fans discovered him, they weren't experiencing nostalgia. They were discovering power in its rawest form. It's difficult to draw parallels to Ozzy's career. While his peers in classic rock, figures like Mick Jagger, Robert Plant, and Alice Cooper, commanded enormous respect, few were able to maintain both relevance and rebellion, quite like Ozzy did. He aged without apologizing for who he was, and his influence grew even as his body weakened. In academic circles, some are calling Ozzy one of the great cultural translators of the 20th and 21st centuries. He took alienation and turned it into anthems. He took personal dysfunction and made it a rallying cry, and he connected with fans who didn't just listen to his music, they lived inside it. In truth, Ozzy Osbourne represents a kind of rare legacy. He's not simply mourned by rock fans. He is remembered by those who saw themselves in him. The outcasts, the dreamers, the wounded, the wired differently, all of whom saw proof in Ozzy that survival could be defiant, that identity could be chaotic, and that music could be a form of spiritual resistance. That is perhaps what separates Ozzy from almost every other name in his field. He didn't just leave behind a body of work. He left behind a philosophy, one that said, be loud, be broken, be fearless, be you. In the wake of Ozzy Osbourne's passing, the reaction from around the world has been massive, emotional, reverent, and deeply personal. This wasn't just another celebrity death. This was the loss of a cornerstone figure in music history, someone who, for millions, felt like more than a rock star. He was a symbol of survival, struggle, and raw authenticity. From Birmingham to Los Angeles, Sao Paulo to Tokyo, public mourning has taken many forms. Metal fans gathered in parks, clubs, and open-air venues for spontaneous listening sessions. Candlelight tributes lit up across Europe. On social media, fans shared decades-old concert ticket stubs, grainy photographs, tattoos bearing his lyrics, and personal stories of how his music got them through some of life's darkest moments. At the family's home in LA, a growing sea of flowers, cards, and handmade banners has surrounded the gates. While the family has largely remained private, a family spokesperson confirmed that the support has meant more to Sharon and the children than words can say. Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy's wife of more than 4 decades and his fiercest advocate, has understandably kept a low public profile in the days following his death. Outside of her initial statement, she has not spoken further. But according to close friends of the family, Sharon is heartbroken but grounded, focused on honoring Ozzy in the way she knows he would want. Those closest to her say she's personally overseeing plans for his public memorial, and is working with longtime collaborators to ensure his final projects and unreleased materials are handled with the care and dignity he would expect. In private moments, she's reportedly said, Ozzy never wanted to be remembered as a myth. He wanted to be remembered as someone who gave everything he had, even when he had almost nothing left. Jack, Kelly, and Amy Osbourne have all posted tributes of their own, brief, heartfelt, and powerful. Jack wrote, "He wasn't just my dad. He was the loudest, kindest soul I've ever known." Kelly posted an image of Ozzy holding her as a child, captioned, "You made the darkness beautiful. I'll carry that forever." The response from the music community remains overwhelming. Live tribute performances, radio takeovers, and dedicated concerts are already being scheduled, with Sharon expected to appear at several of them in the coming months. But for now, the family mourns in quiet, and the fans carry the sound forward. And now, as fans around the world gather in venues, living rooms, bars, concert halls, and street corners to play his music just a little louder than usual, one thing becomes clear. The Prince of Darkness may have taken his final bow, but Ozzy Osbourne will never truly be gone. His music will continue to shake the earth. His voice will continue to challenge the silence, and his legacy will continue to inspire those who, like him, always felt a little outside the lines.